on your side. You're watching News 19 at noon.
Here's a look at Jacksonville Beach in Florida, where the water has spilled over into a local park, leaving this statue on its own island. As the storm moves further north, we are seeing more of the effects today here in the Palmetto State. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for News 19 at noon. I'm Darcy Strickland. We're going to get things started by handing it over to meteorologist Efren Afante with a closer look at Irma's impact on us here in the Midlands.
I'll tell you, Darcy, it is finally here, the day we're waiting for the impacts of now Tropical Storm Irma. About 11 o'clock this morning, they changed it now from a hurricane to a tropical storm. Still a very strong one, 65-mile-an-hour winds gusting to 75. It continues to move to the northwest at 17 miles an hour, but you notice the back end has really fallen apart all since this morning. A lot of activities to the north of it, though. Hurricane warnings are gone. Only tropical storm warnings are still in effect as it continues to move to the northwest. Should be in position just around Macon, Georgia by later on this evening with wind speeds maximum 60 miles an hour. And as we go through the next few days, it'll move out into areas into the Ohio Valley as a remnant area of low pressure. But notice that cone keeps on moving further away from South Carolina. It doesn't matter, though, because we're getting a lot of rain. The rain started up in all of the Midlands by earlier this morning, but down in the low country, it's been pouring cats and dogs for the last several hours since about 10 o'clock last night. Now, our model shows that as we progress through the afternoon, the heavy rainfall will continue, but as we get into the early afternoon, the heavy rainfall, showers, thunderstorms, some strong to severe, will mow right through from the low country through the Midlands into the PD, and that'll continue into late tonight into early morning hours. But the good thing is, as we get into tomorrow morning, we'll just have light showers. Now, we still do have flash flood watches in effect for the southern portions of South Carolina, with flood warnings continuing in the low country until at least 3 o'clock this afternoon. The amount of rain we're expecting between now and about later on this evening in the northern Midlands up to 1 inch, central and southern Midlands up to 2 to 3 inches, but localized down to the low country, they could be experiencing up to 9. But then as we get into the overnight hours, that's where the rain's going to pick up. We could see anywhere in the northern Midlands up to 3 inches, up to 4 to 5, localized up to 7 in the central and southern Midlands before it's all said and done by tomorrow morning. The wind's already picking up. We've got wind gusts being reported in Orangeburg upwards of 45 miles an hour. So the tropical storm winds are going to start kicking in. The reason why we still have tropical storm warnings specifically because of the wind gusts. And as we go throughout the afternoon, it's going to start picking up 50, 60 mile an hour wind gusts until we get to tomorrow morning. We'll start calming down, and by tomorrow afternoon, winds will be out of the south about 15 miles an hour. We still do have a chance for severe weather today. The impacts, flash flooding. We're looking at possibility of tropical storm winds all throughout the Midlands, and there is the possibility of brief tornadoes, not only later on this afternoon, this evening, but overnight tonight. It is going to be a busy evening for the Weather Center, Darcy. I'll have more on our forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
So much. It's also a busy time over at the State Emergency Management Division, where state agencies are working closely to make sure that South Carolina is protected from Tropical Storm Irma. News 19's Lauren Thomas continues our team coverage now. She joins us now live from EMD.
Yeah, Darcy, they're at OPCON level 1, and I just want to let you guys know that means this is the most readiness that you can be in the state. This is the highest level of readiness for the Emergency Management Division, and that's because there are evacuations going on along the coast at Colleton County, Jasper, and Beaufort counties. And here it is lunchtime, so there's not that many people in here right now, but each table has its own individual operation that feeds into the main big operation that is the Emergency Management Division. There are agencies from around the state here at this time, people working with volunteers, the National Guard, the Office of Regulatory Staff. So there are different offices all working for the same goal, and that is making sure that everyone is prepared when it comes to what's in store here for Tropical Storm Irma. And we've been tracking this storm throughout since it was a hurricane, Category 5 hurricane. But now it's a tropical storm, and so they'll be getting information about different power outages that are going on around the state, as well as what's to come when it comes to bringing people back home after evacuations, and if it's going to be safe enough to come back home after evacuations, especially on the coastline. But we are waiting a press conference from the governor. That should be coming up at 2 p.m. He's been doing these regularly every day since we heard about the hurricane and that it could have come towards South Carolina. So we're waiting to hear from him on that, and that'll be at 2 p.m. And we can expect to get more information about what else needs to be done, whether more evacuations need to be done, or what could be taking place along the roadways. With it being a tropical storm, we can still expect very high wind speeds, heavy rain, and flooding. So the EMD has put out a press release giving people information about what they should do if there's flooding in the area. Of course, as we know, you don't want to drive through any of these flooded roadways that you might see while you're out. And you want to make sure that you are prepared just in case there are power outages, because there could be power outages as we get more the high winds. But we're here at the EMD. This is just where the main operations is, and when it comes to preparing the state for an emergency. Darcy?
Lauren Thomas live for us in West Columbia at the State Emergency Management Division. Lauren, thank you, and we'll check in with you again at 2 o'clock. As Tropical Storm Irma continues to wreak havoc on the west coast of Florida, it is also affecting the coast of Georgia and South Carolina. Coastal islands like Tybee and Georgia are having tropical storm rains and very strong winds. Christy Etheridge brings us the latest from Tybee Island.
We are in the thick of it here on Tybee Island. Even though we are here covering the hurricane, obviously safety comes first. We chose this site because we are right next to a big building that provides a lot of comfort and shelter from the wind. And right now it's not so bad, but let me show you what it looks like as soon as you step away from this building. Now you are starting to walk right into the wind gusts, and these are tropical storm force winds, which means they're 39 miles per hour or higher, and we are feeling every bit of that. 40 miles per hour doesn't sound very fast if you're talking about driving in a car, but when you're talking about wind off of the coast that's blowing and pelting sand in your face, then that is quite fast and quite strong. Check out this palm blowing in the wind, and if you look at the street right to the left of it, then down there are traffic lights that you can tell are out because the power is out for a lot of people here on the island. Now, if you look back the other way towards the ocean, then you'll see what this wind is doing to the surf. These are monstrous waves out there. We thought they were big yesterday. Ooh, here comes a very big gust. I would not be surprised if this is in the mid-40s, maybe even 50 miles per hour, because we are bracing to hold our balance right now. The biggest concern right now is storm surge. So this wind is pushing all of this water this way, and it is creeping closer and closer inland. We'll keep an eye on that. In Tybee Island, I'm Christy Etheridge reporting. Back to you.
Christy, thank you. And as we mentioned, Tropical Storm Irma continues to barrel up the Florida coast. It's leaving a trail of destruction in its path. And Naples, which is just south of Fort Myers, Florida, it has toppled some structures. Oliver Redston brings us a look at the damage from the Sunshine State.
Absolutely unbelievable. The entire overhang here in the gas station completely toppled. Look at the individual gas pumps here. Completely destroyed. You can actually see the inner workings of the gas pump torn apart, completely mangled. I mean, this is a massive structure here. I don't know if you can see, I'm 6'2". This is probably about 4 or 5 times taller than I am. So, figure that's about 30 feet above the ground, this structure is, and it's made of solid metal, completely destroyed, ripped from the ground and toppled here just off of 41 in Naples. And guys, I have to tell you, we were on our way to another scene of destruction when we just happened upon this. It's really everywhere you go in Naples this morning, and my photographer and I were commenting, it really does feel like a ghost town because every single establishment, you normally see lights on, everything is dark this morning. Most of the county is without power. We've just learned that the 911 system in North Collier is down. Things are really bad here in Collier County. There's no other way to put it. The destruction is very real and people are feeling it hard this morning.
Thank you so much. The storm is currently en route to Georgia as a tropical system. And with that being said, that state and South Carolina are all on guard. More than 3.3 million homes and businesses across the United States, across Florida, lost power as Hurricane Irma swept through it, wreaking havoc on thousands of homes and businesses. We're taking a look at video of a power grid that was hit by Irma in Miami. According to utility officials, it will take weeks to restore electricity to everyone. While millions are without power in Florida, some South Carolina residents are also without lights this afternoon. SCENG is reporting that most of the outages are in Beaufort and Charleston counties. The weather has started to get worse in the Low Country. There have been reports of wind gusts up to 72 miles per hour in Charleston. Many residents of the Low Country have left to seek safer areas in the Midlands and in the upstate. Today marks 16 years since the attack on the World Trade Center in New York City on September 11th, 2001. The event is being marked nationwide, even though Tropical Storm Irma continues to slam the U.S. coastline. The Pentagon, which was also hit, has unfurled a flag to mark this solemn occasion. Relatives of those who lost their lives in the attacks are expected to gather today at the World Trade Center to remember the victims. And today at the White House, a remembrance ceremony was held in honor of the victims. It was the first ceremony under President Trump. There will also be ceremonies at both the Pentagon and near a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where the other attacked planes were. President Trump will also attend the ceremony at the Pentagon. One World Trade Center has been erected at Ground Zero in memory of those victims. Still ahead today on News 19 at noon, we're going to send things back to meteorologist Efren Afonte, who will have a closer look at what you can expect this evening.